effect of culture in the way we live. I have a question here regarding to Singaporean culture. And this is a culture which some people refer to in our lingo as Kiasu-ism. Kiasu-ism means afraid to lose out. Afraid to lose out. And this question here sort of links manifestations of greed, gluttony, to the fear of losing out. If I don't take it, somebody else will take it. You know, so the question here is, and this, you might say, culture of Kiasu-ism could also get translated into the aversion to loss, the reluctance to take risk, to be on the safe side. See? So I don't know how you're going to relate, you know, the Kiasu-ism to the 8 big problems of life. You know, there seems to be a relationship there.
Yes, I think so. Very much so. I think I lived in New York for a while after I left school, and I love New York. You know, it's an exciting city and so many things to do. Then after a while I began to realize that I was becoming a New Yorker because there's so much to do and you have so much choice that you end up being kind of paralyzed in deciding what to do. And then, you know, it's like so many native New Yorkers, you end up doing nothing except surviving, going from work to your apartment. So there as a tourist, it's different. So I think that we can be overwhelmed by choice, and the psychologists say that the more choices we have, the more anxious we feel. Now, if we have no choices, then maybe, you know, we feel restricted and frustrated, and we don't have the opportunities to grow and develop. So we need a certain measure of choice. But the ultimate choice is not sort of a consumer choice. The ultimate choice is, do we accept reality or not? And distraction, when you're in a distracted state of mind, or you're overwhelmed by these problems of life, we forget that that is our basic choice. How do we accept reality as it is or not? And we think that it's all a question of constructing reality, finding fulfillment externally, and so on. So maybe that is related, but I mean, you're Singaporean, you should answer that question better.
We'll do that on another day, but all right. Father Laurence, you said that you said that modern consumerism, which is driven by lust and greed and all the other problems in life, is really our way of finding a substitute, a replacement for our need for contemplation. Can you explain this further? I don't think that people do this intentionally, but they do it as a result of the culture that we are born into. So, the point being made here is that you are asserting or you are suggesting that our tendencies to lust and greed and all the other problems is really trying to find a substitute for something that we are yearning for, that will really fulfill us. And instead of looking to contemplation, as the fulfillment of what we are deeply yearning for, we find it in, greed for either money or power or positions. So can you elaborate on that? In other words, what is the deepest yearning of the human being?
Yes. Well, I think we have to understand that, we have to understand something about the nature of desire. And desire is basically imitated. In other words, we want what other people want. We want what we see other people wanting. And if you think about that, it begins to give you an objective detachment from your own desires. You can recognize, you can ask this question, do I really want that? Do I really want that? Or do I want it because I should want it? Because this other person wants it, therefore it must be valuable. I mean, in a lot of Shakespeare's plays, you see this dynamic of desire expressed in the characters. You'll have characters, sort of romantic comedies, you see it as well, you see it in classrooms. There's somebody who's not very attractive or popular, and everybody ignores them. And then somebody falls in love with that person. And suddenly, that person becomes an object of attraction to everybody else. Basically competitive, isn't it? Yeah. And so everybody starts fighting over this other person. So it's an interesting insight, and I think it's one we should think about and apply to ourselves. And the basic question is, do I really want this level of income? This kind of lifestyle? These symbols of my status? I mean, people can have a good job and become, have a really good income, but then they feel that they have to upgrade everything in their life, so that they end up, getting into debt, because they have to have a bigger house and a bigger car and more clothes and whatever, and show that they are successful. So it's not because they really need them or want them or enjoy them even necessarily, because they're causing them a lot of financial difficulties. So I think that it's a question that is really worth applying to ourselves and our own lifestyle. So what is it we really want? I mean, that's the most important question in life. And meditation is going to cut through a whole jungle of unnecessary desires and bring you to your basic need and your basic desire. And our basic desire is for God, for love, for fullness of being, and the freedom to express that and enjoy that and celebrate and share it. So I think meditation is a powerful way of radically simplifying your life, and things will fall away that you don't really need, or you discover you don't really want them. You don't really want to do this. So why do it? I can use this time in other ways, maybe simpler ways, less expensive ways. So I think meditation cuts through all the roots of desire and the fantasies and the unconscious motivations that drive us into certain lifestyles and keep us locked in, to a very powerful cultural habit, which is for us consumer society. And it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy things. It will mean that you enjoy things more. But you will probably prioritize. You will prioritize much more clearly. You will be able to choose and identify what are the really life-giving and enjoyable and meaningful things. Because As long as we're lost in this jungle of desire, desiring what other people desire because they desire it, we're going to feel very superficial. We're going to feel our lives don't have deep roots in meaning, and therefore, when problems arise in our lives, losses or challenges or difficulties or health problems, we don't have any depth from which to handle them. We don't see the meaning in them. And whereas meditation, by simplifying our life, opens up the real meaning.